everyone. In today's video, I'm going to be describing various blood tests that a woman should undergo when testing for an HGH deficiency or a hormonal imbalance in general. There is a series of very important blood tests that need to be taken to reveal such a deficiency. So, first you will need to speak to a doctor or a hormone specialist to begin the process. He or she will provide you with a female blood panel, a series of tests that will inform you of your current health and hormonal levels. Now, these results provide a lot of information, with each test providing a clue as to your current hormonal state. However, not just one of these tests should be taken, or even a handful. All of these tests should be taken on the list behind me in order to show the big picture of what your body is doing biochemically. So, let's take a look at these tests. Okay, so this is the female blood panel. It is composed of 16 different tests, and taking these different blood tests will tell you whether you have an HGH deficiency or not, and your overall hormonal state. Now, the first test is the lipid panel, and the lipid panel is looking at your cholesterol, both HDL and LDL, as well as triglycerides. And triglycerides are the fats that are released from our fat cells into our bloodstream, and that help give us energy throughout the day. The second test is the comprehensive metabolic panel, which is looking at the health and proper functioning of your liver and your kidneys. It looks at the concentrations of proteins, nutrients, and vitamins in your bloodstream to determine this. The third panel is a big one, the thyroid blood test. And the thyroid is important because it releases many different hormones. And all of these hormones play many different roles in vital bodily functions. The fourth test is the complete blood count. And this is just looking at the number of white and red blood cells in your bloodstream at that time, as well as hemoglobin. And hemoglobin is the protein molecule in our blood that carries the oxygen around to our cells. The fifth test is a very important one for women, luteinizing and follicle-stimulating hormones. Both of these play a major role in our reproductive systems. The sixth test is also an important one. If we're looking at HGH levels, it is also called insulin-like growth factor 1, IGF-1, and this will correlate to the concentration of human growth hormone in your blood. As when growth hormone is released from your pituitary gland, it then stimulates the liver to release IGF-1. So the levels of IGF-1 pretty much correlate to your levels of HGH. The seventh test is progesterone, and this is also important for women as it aids in controlling our menstrual cycle. The eighth test is estradiol, another very important test to run for females, as it is our primary female sex hormone. It plays a big role in maintaining and developing our reproductive tissues all throughout our lives, when we go into puberty, when we're adults, and especially during pregnancy as well. The ninth test is pregnenolone. And pregnenolone is important for both men and women, as it is a precursor for many steroid hormones. The 10th test is SHBG, which stands for sex hormone binding globulin. And this, if we have high levels of SHBG in our blood, this will impact how our body utilizes sex hormones. So that is why that one is important. The 11th test is testosterone, which may be a surprise, as we usually think that just men need testosterone, or maybe we think only men produce testosterone, but women need testosterone too. And we need this because it impacts our heart, bone, and sex health. The 12th test is for cortisol, and cortisol is a big hormone. We release this when we are under a lot of stress. And if we have a lot of cortisol in our bloodstream and we're constantly stressed all the time, this can impact the production of our sex hormones. The 13th test is DHEA, which is an intermediate hormone. It is an intermediate hormone between pregnenolone and other hormones. So when the doctors look at DHEA, this can tell them what kind of a stockpile we have available to produce other hormones. So if we have a lot of DHEA, we can produce lots of different hormones, including sex hormones. But if we don't, then we're not really producing as many hormones as we might need to or we might like. The 14th test is glycated hemoglobin, and glycated hemoglobin testing will tell us what our insulin levels have been like for the past 3 months. The 15th test is fasting insulin, and that just tells us our current insulin levels. And the 16th test is called serum ferritin, and this is a test that we use to monitor anemia. And anemia is when we have low levels of healthy red blood cells in our bloodstream. So these are the 16 tests that compose the female blood panel. As I said before, when we're testing a female blood panel, we're looking at the overall hormonal state of a woman, and it can also help us determine whether we have an HGH deficiency. Okay, so that's the female blood panel. I know it's a lot. It's many tests, 16 tests total. But if you haven't noticed, our bodies are very complex, and there's all kinds of chemical reactions and hormonal cascades going on in there. But thankfully, our scientists and researchers in America are constantly revealing the intricacies for our better understanding. So once these tests have been run and the results are revealed, a copy can be sent to you via fax or email, whichever method you prefer, so that you have a copy for your own records. The blood tests from the independent laboratory, the physical examination with the doctor, and your overall health profile will aid the doctor in their diagnosis and their recommended course of action, if any needs to be taken. The goal of the recommended course of action is to restore hormonal balance with 0 deficiencies. Thank you again for watching.